Hello, everyone. This is Sang here. Welcome to Take Five Podcast once again. Today we're gonna talk about something that's a little bit sad, but something that we all experience and will experience one day, and that is death. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about death is because it's something that has always been on my mind, always been as in I always think about how just the whole process of it, just like the people dying and the fact that we're all going to die one day, and how people's response to it, how people choose to respond to it, and some people choose not to respond to it and live their life in such a nonchalant way. So anyway, I just today wanted to talk about the whole my personal experience with it as well, and just the whole process of it. So yeah, today let's talk about death. Yeah. The first time I truly got to know about death was when my cousin brother passed away. The first time I ever experienced excruciating heartbreak, the kind of heartbreak that feels like a thousand nails pierced your heart. We were very close, very playful. I would always punch him and he'd pretend like it hurt. And the more he acted, the more I would punch him. I liked how dramatic he was. Come to think of it now, I think I might have seriously hurt him. But he never said anything to me. He never said stop. I mean, he would say, but like not in a rude or like aggressive way. He was always laughing and smiling, and he always let me have my way. It was always a joy to have him around. He was always joyful, always in a good mood, always happy. Now that I think of it, I don't know how he was always like happy, you know? For me, sometimes it's so easy to lose my cool in such simple things, as in like if I wake up too early and like the people start talking to me when I'm like my eyes are just half open, I find it very annoying. And I don't know how he did it, but it was just amazing. I've never seen him like really angry. And I'm sure he had his ways at home with his parents and with his siblings. We all do, right? Of course, it's just normal part of our life. But if we remember him, if anyone remembers him, the better part of it, we would always remember him with a smile on his face. We were not ready for the news when he passed away in an accident. It felt too unreal. How could anybody who was just living, talking, laughing, and playing in 1 second be dead in the next moment? It was a huge shock to our whole family. He was very young. I guess he was just in his early 20s. Maybe he was 21 or 22, 23. I don't remember, but he was very, very young when it happened. I remember when his friend came to pick us up in the evening to go to my cousin brother's place. Earlier during the day, some hours ago, we got the news that he had been in an accident and had been taken to the hospital. So my mom and dad had already left as soon as they got the news. And my siblings and I were at home praying for his well being. But later in the evening, when his friend came to pick us up, we sensed that something was not right. But I did not cry immediately. I don't remember fully if his friend said he was dead. I don't remember that part. It's a little hazy now. But I think we all understood, you know. But I didn't cry immediately. I was in shock. I was kind of numb. It was something we did not expect would happen. When someone is terminally ill, we know of their impending death. We are somehow prepared for it mentally and emotionally. But when someone suddenly dies without suffering from any sort of sicknesses, it can be inconceivable. Tragic death like this is something I wouldn't w- I wouldn't even wish on my worst enemy. That was my first experience of a heartbreak. I was in high school then. I was very young. I've experienced losing people to death before when I was younger. I think when I was 8, 9 years old, I had a classmate, a boy, and he kind of killed himself in suicide. But it's funny to think how would such a young, a baby literally would kill himself. So we heard the news, that he had a fight with his parent. I don't know what happened, and he he just disappeared, and they were searching for him the whole day, and they found him in the storeroom. Yeah, so it was, but we were just too young to comprehend the whole thing, and the day we went to his all of my classmates in uniforms, we went to the funeral, and we came back to school, and we got off early that day, and the next day I don't even remember it's just the usual, what 8-year old 9-year old would do, the usual life and on. So that was it. It didn't impact me as much as it did as I got older, experiencing losing people. The next death I experienced was the drowning of my classmate's sister. So they were crossing the river with their grandmother, and unfortunately, my friend slipped and fell on the slippery rocks. And while trying to save my friend, her sister drowned. So when their bodies floated to the shore, it was the laborers who picked them up, held their legs, and swung their body round to let all the water they had digested to come out. And I was there. I saw that. Um, it was kind of terrifying to look at, but I was also praying and hoping in my heart that they would be alive. By then, I was a little bit older. I think I was 11 or 12 years old, and luckily my friend could be saved. But it was too late for her sister. Her sister was already dead by the time her body got to the shore. Um, it's just funny to me from the experience. It's just funny to me how when we're alive and well and breathing, we all segregate ourselves from each other, and we tell ourselves we are different from each other because of this reason, because of that. But when death comes to us, we become one. And if it was not for those laborers, I don't think even my friend would be alive today. So death is something that binds us all together at the end of the day. So that was something that I remember very clearly. Losing people time and again, family members or people that I know of, and witnessing the fragility and unpredictability of life has taught me how precious it is. Death has kind of taught me to love, to forgive, and to hold no grudges, to hold dear the moments we have now, because it can be gone in a second. One moment the person you know is alive, and the next they're still, their body is cold and gone. I don't fear my own death as opposed to the death of my loved ones. I would rather die first than to go through the heartbreak of them dying. I think if I had a choice, I'd be like, take me away first. But anyway, it's hard on either side. It's not an easy road for any of us, and it's not something we can fully be prepared. We can ever be prepared. I lost a friend to suicide in the beginning of this year. We had never met in person. It was only through social media that we connected, but I could tell he was an incredible being. I could just feel his aura, every time we texted each other, we would just catch up on our lives and what was happening, and sometimes we would just do funny collabs together. I just knew that he was a funny, incredible being to be with and to be around. He was such a blessing to be around. He was very talented, creative, he was funny, but I guess behind all that, he was really struggling through something. I don't know, he never um shared it with me. Maybe, I don't know. So I just feel sad to think how he seemed to have a lot of friends. Whenever I would see him on his WhatsApp stories or like Instagram, he would be surrounded by friends and family. So he seemed like he had good, close people around him. But when I got the news, I felt sad how he had nobody, nobody to turn to and share his problems with. So it was something that just really hit me, and I felt really sad too. I felt it was devastating when I got the news. It was devastating. It's something that I did not see. I mean, he never looked depressed. I mean, it's crazy. Of course, we had never met, so there was no way I could tell he was depressed. I mean, even if we are together with people, and sometimes you just don't know it. Like they could be sitting right next to us, but we just don't know what they're going through. Some things we just can't tell unless the other person opens up to us. So it's crazy like that. But of course, suicide is never an answer. There's always someone we can talk to. Sometimes we feel like that's the end of the road and we find no answers, and every step feels like a roadblock, but there is always somebody that we can approach and that we can talk to. We just need to take the first step. I wish he had, done something. I wish he had taken the first step, because sometimes unless the person themselves opens up, it just becomes difficult um, for everybody or for anybody to just read someone else's mind and what they're going through. I learned a lot from watching a series on Netflix. Recently, I just finished it last month. It's called, or this month, I don't remember. But anyway, it's called Afterlife. I would 100% recommend. It has comedy as well as life lessons. So a bit of a spoiler here, just to, tell you what you can find. So there's this guy, and he contemplates suicide again and again because he had lost his wife and he loved her very dearly. But every time he tries to do it, he's stopped by the things he loves and eventually finds meaning in people around him. So that was a very nice show. There were parts where I kind of cried and laughed as well. So it was a lot of mixed emotions. And I got to learn about this series on Instagram. I was just scrolling through some reels, and this one popped up, and it was like, this looks interesting. And I just um googled it, and it was on Netflix, and I was like, okay, let's watch this. So it was quite interesting. So I would 100% recommend that. And also, I would recommend listening to Duncan Trussell Family R podcast on YouTube. It's called DTFH, Duncan Trussell Family R podcast. It's called Duncan's Mom. That is DUNCAN mom. There's two parts, part one and part two. It's an emotional and interesting podcast. As Duncan is an actor. He's an actor and comedian. He talks about death with his mom, who has stage 4 cancer. And this podcast was recorded 3 weeks before she died in 2013. So that was a very nice podcast. I have listened to it so many times. I don't remember, like, especially when I go to bed, I would just turn it on and put my earpiece on, and I'll just listen to it and fall asleep. Yeah, I've done this multiple times. I find it nice to listen to and also soothing in a way, you know? So yeah, 100% recommend. It's on YouTube, so just type that and you can listen to it. A quick word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Glam Artist. Glam Artist is a professional hair and makeup service run by Asanti from Nagaland. She does hair and makeup for different occasions such as engagement, pageant, fashion editorial, as well as bridal. She has been giving her services all over Nagaland, as well as outside, and is available for travel to the required location. Personally, I have seen her work and it's just amazing. You know, the thing about hiring a makeup artist is that sometimes it can be a make it or a break it moment. You don't know if they will deliver what you want. You don't know if you'll be in sync. What you want and what they can give you, what they have to offer can be in sync. You just don't know that. But with glam artists, you can be rest assured that they understand what you want and they will deliver on your special day. So if you're looking for a makeup artist that is easy to communicate and who delivers, Glam Artist is your answer. Check out the description for the contact details and their social media. Death is something most people don't talk about or think about. We treat it like a taboo. Everybody knows about it, have experienced it themselves in one way or the other, but we just sweep the conversation under the rug. Yes, it's not easy to talk about death of our loved ones or our own death, but I think we should talk about it to remind ourselves how temporary and fragile this life is. How stupid are some of the things that we do and how we act, how unimportant some things are that we think are important that we just can't stop doing. We live as if we won't die. Experiencing death can be one of the biggest turnaround on how we see life, which we may not see otherwise. Death is the only way we can truly see life as it is. Crying and watching people cry brings us together and teaches us how to value each other and love one another. Just recently, again, we lost one of a good member of our church. He was an incredible human being, funny, easygoing, sincere, hardworking. He always used to sit by the side of the pulpit along with the choirs. Now we won't see him anymore, and it just feels surreal, you know? One moment he was so healthy, and in just a matter of 1 week, he just succumbed to his sickness. No matter how much I've experienced losing people, I don't think I can ever be prepared for it. I don't think none of us ever can be prepared for it. It always feels like a first time. No matter how much I contemplate on it, I still cannot fully grasp or understand death. The swiftness of it always leaves me with unanswered questions and thoughts all the time, like, it's too soon, it wasn't their time yet, they had so much to do, why now? And I honestly don't know if it was their time to go or not. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know if God intends for us to live longer, do more things before taking us away, but maybe it's the fragility of living on this earth that's filled with sicknesses and accidents and so many unfortunate things that takes us away sooner than intended. Or I don't know if God intends for us to die the way we die, in an accident or all that stuff. When I think about how God would intend for us to die, I think of a death that is not painful. Maybe we're old and we die peacefully in our beds. That's how I see God's death for us. And maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe there's whole different ways for all of us to die. Some painful, some not so painful. I don't know how it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to go and what's God's hand behind all that. It's just one thing I know for sure is that it's not easy to experience. It's not a nice feeling, for sure. But what I do understand is that death will come to us all. No one can escape from it. If you are sick and have money, maybe you can delay it a little bit, but eventually, all of us, no matter the background, the age, the religion, the ethnicities, we have to hold the icy hands of death. So, knowing this, life is so temporary and that death can come anytime, value life. Spend time with our loved ones as much as we can. Be kind to each other. We don't know what someone is going through on the inside. Live life in the most meaningful and fulfilling of ways. Help somebody in need and give without expecting anything in return. And most importantly, love despite knowing that we have to say goodbye to each other one day. And when death comes to us, not fight it, not be in denial, but accepting the bitter truth. Cry. Cry as much as you can, as much as you want. That's the only way to deal with death. And I know it's not something we want to experience, and most of us want to run away from it, but it's it's like a chewing gum that gets stuck in your hair, in your clothes. The more you avoid it, the more it gets stuck in all the terrible places. That's harder to take off. But once you take it off, you feel better. So when you lose someone that you hold dear, cry as much as you can. While death can be the greatest teacher of life, love is its greatest gift. That's it for today. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I know it was a bit gloomy, but as much as it's hard to talk about or to listen to, like I said, it's something we need to talk about and listen to. We can't just pretend like we're gonna live here forever. So, yeah, this is something I had in my heart and I wanted to share. So, thank you for listening to it all. Thank you for being with me. And I hope by the end of this, you go and spend time as much as you can with your loved ones, with your family and friends. Bye bye. Take care.